Listen up. You're watching TikToks all day anyway, so why not get paid for it? Ever thought about making money from TikTok but you don't have any followers? Well, forget the 1,000 follower rule. GFN Vault has just changed the game. AFTV and DR Sports have partnered with one of the biggest UK creators, Anthony Owo, to bring you GFN Vault.
Our agency helps you earn, grow, succeed with exclusive support. With 0 following, you can start earning straight away. No gimmicks, no catches, 100% free.
Every big creator started from nothing, including me. So why not you?
Whether that is football, gaming clips, or just chatting complete and utter rubbish, anyone can be a creator, just like me.
So hit the link right now, get involved, and start earning today with GFN Vault. Do not sleep on this.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another AFTV Live. I'm your host Laurie, and today I'm very proud and honoured to be joined in the house today by popular AFTV contributor and CEO of the Football's 12th Man channel, Mr. Dan Potts in the building. How are you today, bro?
I'm really good, Laurie. I'm really good. And
as I might expect.
I didn't sleep last night, bro. I was literally buzzing the whole time, and I don't know that I've stopped, mate. It's been a mad couple of days with the build-up, and now, I can't wait to get into it, to be honest. It's been brilliant, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're all still basking in the reflected glory of that momentous win yesterday. Dan, you were with me at the Box Park as we watched Arsenal in that famous victory. Before we get on to things specific, just give us, or give the people a taste of your initial thoughts of that win.
Yeah, massive. I can't say I'm shocked that we're through, Laurie, but I'm shocked that we beat them home and away. That's where I'm at. And I think if anybody would have given you an aggregate scoreline of 5-1, they would have told you you've been smoking something. Right? So when I saw the team, it was no real shock. It was great that Thomas Partey was back involved because there was a doubt about him, obviously injury-wise. But what really impressed me the most about the game was actually Mikel Arteta and his approach to it. Because a lot of people were kind of asking questions about, do we sit back, put 10 men behind the ball, park the bus, Tony Pulis style, or do we actually go and give it a go? And I think he did a little bit of both. I think he was well balanced in how he played. And I felt like it was a similar approach to the home leg. But when you're at home, you can find it at times quite easy to get your swing of the game with the crowd there. With the way they shut the roof and had the crowd, 80,000, all in white shirts, screaming, making it hostile and intimidating for us, sometimes that can put you off of your game plan. And I don't think we allowed that to happen. I thought we were immense, if I'm honest with you, in pretty much every position. I felt we dominated the game. I felt that we were brilliant in midfield again. We were resolute defensively, other than one error, which we'll come on to. And I think the front three deserve a lot of praise and credit. So I was really impressed individually, but as a team effort, with the way that we approached the game and saw the game out. And I think, I've not been one that's always been a massive praise or lover of Mikel Arteta. I'll give him praise when it's needed.
You know what? I never would have guessed.
Yeah, I didn't really need to explain that one. But certainly for me, there's been question marks over him. But I think that's been justified. I'm not one of these fans that just doesn't rate anything he does. I thought he was exceptional last night, and I thought everything that he got across both these legs was spot on. And I just really pray and hope that we can go all the way now. But we've got a massive job next against PSG. So that's how I see the game overall. I was more impressed with that. And obviously there was a lot of key talking points within it.
Yeah, well said. I mean, you're right, Dan. I mean, it was a momentous win, as I said earlier. And yeah, the manager, shout out to him. I thought he got the team selection and the tactics, everything spot on. Of course, you've got to give plaudits to the players because they got to implement the tactics, and they were near perfect. There were a couple of rickets during the game that we'll discuss, but by and large, I thought they, you know what, I'm going to say this here, and I never thought I would say it like this, but I thought we were largely comfortable. At no point in that game did I really feel threatened. I mean, having a 3-goal cushion obviously is a great thing to have, and everybody spoke about these first 10-15 minutes and the remontada and all the rest of it. But honestly, from the minute the game started, I thought we were composed. I thought we controlled possession well. I thought the pressing was good and high. Yeah, man, I was just I got to say, man, I was pretty, if not comfortable, as close to it as you could imagine, given the magnitude of the game. And what I would say as well, Dan, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, is that for me, it wasn't just a victory, although that is massive. But what was so impressive for me was the manner of the win. I think that what we did last night was to send out a statement, you know what I mean, to the rest of Europe to say, listen, Arsenal and Arteta have arrived, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that just because we've put Real Madrid out, we're going to win the tournament, because I wouldn't be that naive. There's still some very good teams left, and we've still got at least another couple of games to go before we can start realistically talking about that. But certainly I thought last night that you're putting out Madrid, like 15 times holders, the current holders, and you've got a second leg in their ground, and, you know what I mean, all the hoopla and all the vibes and the hype before it, Bellingham and Vinny Jr. and a couple of other guys coming out and saying, yeah, they're going to really do this and that. And we, yeah, I thought it was a statement win.
It was a huge statement. And I think what it did was it put a lot of rival fans to bed and shut them up, because they were really expecting there to be an upset. They thought if there was any team that could do it, it'd be Real Madrid. We needed to have a disciplined, mature performance, and we got one. And in fact, we got more than that, if I'm honest with you. The reason I'm looking at Mikel Arteta with praise is because there has been opportunities where he hasn't been able to get us across the line in terms of a trophy. But the reason he hasn't been able to do that is because he's actually lost in games where I think we should have won over the years. I look at the Europa League, which was, of course, before we were able to qualify for the Champions League. We should have beaten Olympiacos, but we weren't able to get across the line there. We lost to Unai Emery's Villarreal side, if you remember, across two legs when the pressure was on. We did the same to Ruben Amorim's Sporting Lisbon when the pressure was on. And in domestic cups, we've gone out to teams that we should never have gone out to, Laurie, like Nottingham Forest, and when they were in the Championship, and Brighton in the League Cups. And, you know, when you lose to Man City and Liverpool, it's kind of a pressure's on, but you can appreciate that they're good sides. When you're losing to Man United this season on penalties, you can't, you got to question that and think, well, what's happening here? Why is it that we get to that pressure and just kind of implode? Then we get into a scenario where Mikel Arteta's rocked up against Real Madrid, who everybody said would walk this across two legs. And he hasn't just scraped the game 2-1, which I would have given him credit for, by the way. In an aggregate scoreline of 2-1, I still would have said, wow, massive achievement. To do this 5-1, bruv, this is an unbelievable. This is just brilliant results. And I've got to say, you know, look, I think the mentality of the side has definitely been questioned over the last few years. And I think rival fans have had a right to sort of laugh when we haven't won a trophy and stuff, because, well, essentially that's what we're playing for, right? It's silverware. But this is somehow, for me, probably the biggest win in Mikel Arteta's reign, I think. Now, it's probably
would you put it higher than the FA Cup win?
I'd probably put it. I was asked this by Cecil, if we win, what achievement would it be? You have to really put the one that you got silverware with at top. You have to, really. You know, the FA Cup, people say it was only the FA Cup. One, I don't go with that narrative because I love it. And two, we beat Man City under Pep and Chelsea under, I think it was Lampard, wasn't it, at the time, to get there. It wasn't like we beat Hull again in the final. You know what I mean? So we managed to actually get that through beating two. So I would put it up there with that, just below it, just for the pure fact that at the time he'd walked in, first time he's ever been a manager and he's picked up a trophy. I think that'll always be probably his first and best achievement. But right behind it is this Real Madrid result. And I've looked both legs as well, by the way. I don't just look at that game. That was fantastic at the Emirates. But going to the Bernabeu and having that kind of pressure and that statement and that, right, this is the moment that, you know, we've all been dreaming of. We all want to be playing those teams. You ought to be getting that far and further in the Champions League. So it's right up there, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you got to credit Mikel Arteta for the well-planned strategy. Like I said, the way he set the team up, totally neutralised Real Madrid, made them look inept. And indeed, I'm waking up this morning, I'm seeing headlines to the effect that Ancelotti could be the fall guy. You know what I mean? So for Arsenal to go to Real Madrid and outcoach Ancelotti, well, let's face it, he's done it over two legs. I mean, that is some feat, you know what I mean? Because he's a very talented and experienced manager, you know what I mean? So to do that to him as well, That was brilliant. So yeah, shout out to the whole team. I thought the whole team played well. Obviously, there's going to be your first among equals, and I'm going to get to some of the key individual performances last night now. Let's start with Declan Rice, man. I mean, for me, I thought he was man of the match. I thought his contribution was immense. That guy's engine, man. Seriously, he's got a seriously the amount of work he gets through. His tackling, his interceptions, and it's not just that. Because, you know, number 8s can sometimes get stereotyped with just being that marauding number 8. But the man's got serious ability as well. He showed that in the first leg with the free kicks. But some of his passing, yeah, I thought he was fantastic yesterday. What about you, Dan?
I think he has comfortably been player of the match in both home and away legs.
Yeah.
Covered every blade of grass in both. The free kicks added to his performance in the first leg. I actually thought he was better last night than he was in the first leg, if I'm honest with you. I think the reason that he'll be spoken about in the first leg is because he's hit 2 of the sweetest free kicks you're ever going to hit in your life. If it weren't for the free kicks, he still would have had a fantastic chance of being one of our better players. But I thought last night he was absolutely on one. He was a monster. He was a machine. He covered every blade of grass. He went in for every single tackle. There was a aura around him. There was the leadership qualities on the pitch. There was the taking the game by the scruff of the neck. And people might question it and say we give away the penalty. That was actually seen as soft in the end. And if I'm honest with you, maybe both of them were quite soft when you look back at them both. But I look at it now and think the reason we paid £105 million and it was questioned was because you pay a lot of money for Declan Rice, who's not really done it at top level yet, can he? And I think he's proven against one of the best teams in the world and also probably the biggest club in the world that he can do it home and away and be one of our most important players. And look, I think he's shown more captain and leadership qualities than our actual captain this season, if I'm honest with you. I think him and Gabriel have shown that they can be leaders in this side. And, you know, I remember when Unai Emery said we don't really have a captain, we have 5 captains, kind of poo-pooed it and laughed at it really and said, well, everyone has a captain. But looking back, I kind of know what he means now. I don't think he means 5 captains. I think he means leaders within the team. And you can look at it in every department now and see that we actually do have a leader in every part of our team. At the back, we know it's Gabriel and Saliba, and then we've got Partey and Rice and Odegaard, who is our captain. And we've had Bukayo Saka of late, who's had the armband at times when players have been out. So I think that we do have some leaders in this side. But Declan Rice, for me, last night was head and shoulders. I thought he was outstanding, bro.
Yeah, you're quite right, Dan. You mentioned leadership and his influence on the team. I thought it was, I'm sure you saw it, when Partey very foolishly got himself booked and so will miss the first leg of the semi-final against PSG. Declan Rice was giving him a real earful and pushing Partey away in case he said anything worse. You know what I mean? I thought that kind of demonstrated how senior Declan Rice is in that team. Because if you think about it, in terms of seniority within the team, Partey is probably more senior to him, yeah? But the way he kind of grabbed Partey by the arm, said, look, get out of here, you know what I mean? Don't be silly, you know what I mean?
Well,
Don't
it was
screw it
stupid,
up.
Laurie, wasn't it? It was stupid.
Man. I was annoyed with Partey because I thought he played really well yesterday. And let's be honest, when he's on form, he's one of our key players. And he has been on form this season.
And now because of his stupidness, like, you know what? I don't even mind if he would have got booked by a late tackle that absolutely had to be made. And he's taken one for the team and said, look, we don't want to go goal down. I've had to take that. I don't want to get myself booked. I'm now out of it, but I had to get booked. Why are you doing it by mouthing off and getting involved in Rudiger? Who, by the way, this Rudiger guy is a nightmare, isn't it? Oh, my God. He is. I mean, he stood on Lois Skelly's like ribs, away with it. He was throwing people around. I don't know if you saw when Saka missed his penalty, which I'm sure we'll come on to. He went barging into him.
Yeah, I saw that as well. He's a crazy guy.
A nasty, nasty player. But they're the sort of times that you need a 30 to 31-year-old in Partey to go, yeah, I ain't getting involved with you. I know what you're trying to do, and walk away. And he's got involved. And, you know, Rice grabbing hold of him saying, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You're now out of the first leg and you're one of our most important players. And look, you know, luckily he'll hopefully come back for the second leg. But you look at that game now and you think, what is he going to do? He's going to have to look at potentially playing Rice, dropping Marino into Rice's position, and then playing Trossard up top through the middle. Or
because Jorginho, he injured his rib, didn't he? So,
Jorginho might not be fit. Yeah, they reckon it could be a few weeks. So it looking now like it might have to be Rice, Marino, and Odegaard with Trossard through the middle. The other thing he could do is he could bring Lewis Skelly into the mix and keep Marino up top and play maybe Tierney at left back or something like that. But for me, I think he'll probably go with Rice, Marino, and Odegaard and play Trossard through the middle in the first leg now.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I mean, the one thing we do have is fluidity within the team. We have players that can play in different positions. And Mars Lewis-Skelly, he is a midfielder by trade, really. So, yeah, I'm sure that they can come up with a combination. But yeah, Partey, listen, man, on the positives, I thought he was very good last night. He's been very good pretty much all season.
Yeah.
And he's even when he's played at right back, he's played well. And I thought he was good yesterday. So to do that with minutes left in the game, I thought that was disappointing. But hey, it is what it is. So yeah, Declan Rice, I think we both agree, man of the match. Bukayo Saka, he had an interesting game.
Wow.
I mean, we're at the box park, Dan, and when we get that penalty after, I think it was 12 minutes, we're thinking, yeah, man, we're in dreamland. I was so confident he was going to score because he's one of those players that you can reasonably back him, you know what I mean, to do the right thing. He's very cool under pressure. I don't know if it was the pressure. Maybe he was trying to be too smart, but it was a horrible penalty. And for me, what I was disappointed in Saka was in that moment is that was out of character for him, wasn't it? I've never seen him do penalties like that before. So I'm thinking, like, you've got a tried and tested method. This is a massive game. You've got an opportunity to pretty much take Real Madrid out of it from the 12th minute because there's no way they're going to score like 5 goals after you do that. And, well, what followed was a bit of a disaster. The man's trying to dink it, Panenka style. And if you're going to dink it, Dan, you've got to go down the middle, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's gone to Courtois' right, and easy save. But yeah, so what did you think of the penalty?
I think they said on CBS they were only talking tongue in cheek when they were speaking to him, and I think it was Jamie Carragher and Michael Richards sort of said, "You've tried to Panenka it and ended up looking a plonker." If I'm honest, I kind of laugh because we can now, right? But when I look at why he did it, it's the aura and confidence of the guy. There is a slight arrogance with Saka, I think, now. He kind of knows he's the man and knows he's good. Problem is, bro, you're going to chip it and dink it like that, it's got to go in. And you certainly, like you say, got to do it down the centre. This is a world-class goalkeeper, probably one of the best in the world. That we're talking about in Courtois. So he's got to make sure of that. And do you know what, Laurie? I think we said this watching it live. We sat next to each other through the game. I remember looking, saying, I don't mind if he misses a penalty. He did it for England. I didn't hate on him for it. Disappointing, of course, but you don't hate on him. But if he would have absolutely smashed it and it's gone on the post or it's just gone wide or it's been saved world-class by call, I'm like, do you know what? Fair play. But when you're doing that, you have to put it in. And because he's tried that and he's changed his mindset with it, like, bro, I'm going to go and Panenka this one. Like, kill the game off, man. Like, you score that, it's literally done. So that's kind of where I'm at, to be fair. And that was the disappointing bit for me, was that it's a change of character for him. Why has he decided to do that?
He was out of character. I mean, listen, if that goes in, we'd all be saying, oh, man, look at the confidence he showed and, he treated Courtois with contempt there. Look at this man. But that's the thing. If you don't miss it, if you don't score it, then, like you said, people start using the terms plonker and stuff like that. But listen, Saka, as we well know, you've alluded to it yourself just now, Dan. He's not just a brilliant footballer. He's got the mental toughness and fortitude. And when he gets that opportunity, a lovely ball, by the way, by Marino, brilliant ball. The way he finishes that, and incidentally, it was a dink over the keeper, this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The goal he scored. So, you know what I mean? Some players might have just blasted it and thought, no, I'm not dinking it again. He does dink again. And this time puts it away brilliantly. And from the minute that goes in, you know we're pretty much home and hosed, right?
Look, it was actually incredible, that goal. When you look back at it, it was actually incredible in terms of how well worked it was, but also the movement and the finish is exquisite, if I'm honest with you. It's absolutely delightful. It's a delicate little dink, and, you know, Courtois got no chance. The ball for Marino is very underappreciated and not been spoken about enough. The vision of that is class, and he's actually the guy, Marino, who's won the header for that, for the build-up of it. And, you know, Saka then brings it back into Odegaard to Marino forward to Saka, and then it's a superb dink. And I think that is probably one of the most celebrated goals that I've ever seen, particularly around where we were, you know. And
man,
games home and away, but it was great atmosphere in the box park, and seeing sort of 60 to 70 Arsenal fans all have that emotion at the same time. I think we all kind of knew then that, listen, we're kind of there done. But then look, we couldn't even get to finish celebrating it before we bloody they'd equalised. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
I
was
know, man. I was going to come to that. Yeah, you brought me very nicely onto that. Saliba, who for me had been imperious before that, pretty much. Thought him and Kiwior looked really, really good. Shout out to Kiwior as well, by the way. I mean,
yeah, man.
a lot of people were expressing doubts about him when Gabriel got injured. I heard a lot of people say, "Oh God, there's no way we could beat Madrid with Kiwior in the team." He's been outstanding in both games. I thought he looked really good yesterday. He looked confident, almost as if them two have been playing together for donkeys. You know what I mean? And so yeah, Saliba. I don't know what he was doing there. And what he did there, actually, Dan, highlighted what happens when you play a team like Real Madrid. You switch off.
Yeah.
That's what can happen. You might get away with that with some of the lesser teams in the Premier League. But when you make those mistakes at that level against those type of teams, Vinny Jr. just took the ball off him, mate. Bang. And you're thinking, oh, no. But even then, I was still confident we could go through. But, I mean, yeah, Saliba... To be fair to him as well, though, afterwards, I thought he recovered well. He made a couple of really good challenges after that. So clearly that didn't affect him. He just got caught lacking.
No, I thought he was outstanding, Saliba. Up until that point, it was actually Mbappe that was actually put in his pocket. He actually had to come off in the end. Mbappe.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And they actually scored, I believe, when they actually got to I think, did they score when he come off? Yeah, they did. So they actually got a goal when he actually got subbed. So he kept him quiet for the majority of the game, kept him in his pocket. Saliba's a monster, man. And look, I understand he's had a little bit of a moment there and it's an error and it's poor. You know, he should have done better. He should have had his kind of wits about him. He had the kind of lack of spatial awareness. He switched off. Raya, I'm not too sure why he's delivering the ball there either, if I'm honest with you. We saw Raya going long quite a lot. We finally get the ball.
You know what? Raya's one of them, man. He just has to be in the game, innit? He got booked again yesterday.
Yeah, he got booked again for time wasting. How many times has that been this season? You know, he's always been like that. And, you know, we play him as a kind of centre half the time. It's weird. And, yeah, I'm not sure there's times I like that. He's not comfortable with that. But I was surprised he rolled it out to him there, if I'm honest. But he did. And Saliba has got a hold of L there, you know, and they give him... It didn't deflate us. It didn't like, oh, we're back to square one. But we kind of were back to square one for the second leg. But it wasn't like we're now giving them an opening to just score one more and they've won the tie. So, you know, we've got to be more careful of that. Kiwior, you're right to mention. I thought he was outstanding. And in fact, he was actually flawless. He was faultless. I didn't think there was anything he did wrong at all. There was a lovely bit of play by the back of him where last-ditch tackles were going in. There was a brilliant bit of play where his header went back to Raya.
Double header.
He was excellent, man. And he's been a player that a lot of people, including myself, have questioned about, is he the guy for the future of Arsenal? Is he good enough to back up to Gabriel and Saliba? Is he the guy that you want to be bringing into the Bernabeu? And I think he's proven home and away that he's been really good. And I mean, for me, that partnership there now is 10 games and they still haven't lost a game together when they've played. So actually that stat's quite underappreciated. And, you know, just lastly on Saka very quickly, I think people that are now starting to wonder how good he is, I think he's touching world class, if not already. Whatever world class means in your definition, I think he's near or near.
Well, I think he's there, man. I mean,
he's got to be there now.
Yeah, he's seen what he's done for England. You've seen what he's done in Europe. And last night, again, I thought he was outstanding, got the important first goal. Brilliant. And it was a brilliant finish as well. Like I said, having missed a penalty, for some players, that would have stayed in their heads and might have affected their performance. Not Saka, not at all. The guy's a class act. I've got to mention Timber. You've seen the comment up there, Kwame. And I do, shout out to Kwame. I do absolutely agree with that. Jurriën Timber is... He looks a very kind of introverted guy. He looks introverted off the pitch. Doesn't say too much. But my God, what a player, man. You know what I mean? He's got everything. You know what I mean? Very impressive.
Tell me or name me another right back right now in world football on form that's doing better than him. I don't know that you'll find one. You know, you can talk about Trent, but I think he's better than Trent defensively.
Oh, easily,
you know, easily. You can talk about his offensive play. Trent's outstanding. But as an overall right back, I think Timber's got the lot. You can talk about Hakimi at PSG. I think he's been phenomenal for a few seasons now, if I'm honest with you. But I don't think he's levels ahead of Timber. I think they're on a similar level at times. And I think Timber's been probably more consistent throughout a season. we've got to remember that this guy's come back from an ACL. We've also got to remember that he's versatile and plays centre back and left back as well as right back. And a lot of people talk about his offensive duties and don't prefer him to Ben White and overlapping. I've seen Timber get forward and be fantastic. So,
yeah, man.
I've got to be honest. I'm a big fan. Big fan. So,
yeah, man.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
He's sort of building like a little cult following amongst Arsenal fans. Because you chat to any Arsenal fan, as soon as you mention the word Timber, the superlatives just start coming out, man.
They love him. And you know what? You know what, Louis? They love Ben White as well. So it's not like we like Timber because all the others are rubbish. He's got serious competition here from Ben White, who, rightly so, was pivotal to us in the last 2 seasons where we're going for a title. I think this season, Jurriën Timber has been one of Arsenal's best players. I put him in the brackets 100%. Of the likes of, Gabriel and Partey. For me, Timber has been just as good, if not better, than some of them. So for me, I think Timber will be recognised as one of our players of the season. And I said it the other day. I think I was speaking to Lee Judges about it, saying that other than Gabriel, I think he's probably one of ARTETA'S best signings.
Oh,
you know, I talk about Odegaard and Rice if you want, but I think for the money and for how much he's played consistently, £35 million, whatever it was, is a steal.
It is, man, and I think it's well documented that at times this season he's played through injury. So that gives you a little indication into his mental and physical toughness, that he can do that and still maintain the levels. Whilst we're on the individuals, we should mention Gabriel Martinelli, another player that at times has had a bit of stick this season. People said that, he's not doing enough trying to take on the fullbacks and stuff like that. I thought he was excellent over the 2 legs. Yesterday, did a lot of work going forward and tracking back, for which he's well known. And the way he took that second goal was brilliant. Reminded me of the goal he got against Chelsea all them years ago. He kind of made his name off that Chelsea goal. But that was very similar. And the finish, everything, man. I thought that was superb.
That was one of the performances that pleased me the most, if I'm honest with you, bruv. I've always been a Martinelli fan, and I don't get a lot of people that agree with me. I think they're all like, we can upgrade on him. We can do better. Yeah, we probably can, if I'm honest. That's probably fair. But the performances of the last few weeks have really shown that he has still got a little bit of something. I don't think Martinelli has developed the way that I wanted him to. When he came in at 17, I thought, who is this kid? He looks unbelievable. Yeah. And I remember he scored 10 goals in Emery's first season up front, and I thought, this guy's unbelievable at 17. And he's not quite developed from there. I mean, a couple of seasons ago, he got 15 goals, and we thought, here we go, Martinelli's here now. This is the Martinelli we want to see. And then for the last 18 months, he's been very inconsistent and very hot and cold, and had some good games and bad games, and become a little bit predictable as a left winger, I felt, in certain games. But certainly last night, I thought he was one of our shining lights. And going forward, he was direct. He was good at dribbling. He was good with his cutting on. He's good with taking on. And the finish is absolutely superb. And I think when he does get in those positions, along with Trossard, I actually think he is the best finisher at the club. I actually do. I think when Martinelli in those positions, I think he's that good. The problem is we haven't seen Martinelli in those positions enough in the last 18 months, for whatever reason. I don't know if it's a style thing. I don't know if it's his development. I don't know if he's lacking confidence. Maybe it's a culmination of everything. But I haven't really seen him in those positions enough. And I think with him and Trossard, I think they probably are 2 of the better kind of options that we've got there. I expect somebody to come in the summer, Laurie, though. I expect somebody to, not to sell Martinelli, but to give him some competition, because I think Trossard, he might be off with 1 year left. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Martinelli next season, because I still think there's a huge talent there. And I think the goal, I mean, shows that. The goal was unbelievable. The run was superbly timed, great first touch, superb pace and power, and then a brilliant finish. I mean, it was. I mean, we were elated, obviously, at Box Park and at the Bernabeu. The Arsenal away boys were, it just, we couldn't believe it, could we? We won the game because of that. It was unbelievable.
That was really such a great finish and great move. I mean, what that did was just put the seal on it. You know what I mean? To beat them like that with a goal like that. You know what I mean? Right at the end there, that just kind of just sealed everything. Just put the lid on it. You know what I mean? So I was really pleased for Martinelli, because, like I said earlier on in the season, he was getting criticised, myself included. I'd said he hadn't been positive enough. Because the thing with Martinelli is that he's got great pace. He's explosive. And when he's in full flight, not many fullbacks can catch him. But I think sometimes he procrastinates a little bit. You'll see him get the ball and he's, he's stuttering there, he's shimmying. You think, look, push the ball past him, because 9 times out of 10, the guy's not going to be able to catch you. You know what I mean? But I guess it could be a little bit of lack of confidence or whatever. But I've got to say, over these 2 legs, he's been outstanding, and he fully deserved his goal last night. So, yeah, man. Right, so we got to address the elephant in the room, and I know this is something that quite a few of us were talking about. And listen, after such a great team performance, I don't want to dwell on the performance of Martin Odegaard, because I actually think he got better in the second half. But there was a lot of people that were still, I've got to say, a little bit underwhelmed, unimpressed, if you like, with Martin Odegaard. People are wondering what's gone wrong, because it wasn't that long ago people were lavishing praise on Martin Odegaard and saying what a player. But I've got to say that since he'd come back from, was it illness, stroke, injury, or whatever it was, he's not quite hit the levels. And again, there was a couple of plays yesterday where he picked up the ball in promising positions, and you're thinking, right, come on. You know what I mean? Stamp your authority on this game. Do the thing that we know you're capable of doing. But unfortunately, he either ran into trouble or didn't shoot, passed it when he should have shot. So he's still not quite at his levels. Although I would credit him and say, listen, he's not hiding. He's showing for the ball. The work rate is there. The pressing is there. It's just that quality that we come to expect from him in recent weeks has not been there, Dan.
It hasn't been there for the majority of the season with Odegaard, if I'm honest with you. I think if he was like one of those graphs that goes up and down in zigzags, that's kind of where I'd be with Odegaard since he's come to Arsenal. And I've lost sort of battles debating it and trying to stick up for him. At the start, I wasn't really a massive fan. And he's kind of gone back to that form now. And it's really frustrating me because I was proven massively wrong with Odegaard a couple of seasons ago. And look, when we signed him on loan, I thought, there's a few glimpses there. But if you remember, we were down in the 8th place. It was dire, wasn't it? And I thought, him and for Ceballos, maybe it's a bit of an upgrade, but it's not a huge one from what I can see. And then, obviously, we signed him. And I thought, he looks like an all right player. I think there's other players at the time I suggested. I think James Maddison was one, actually, because of his goals and assists. And I remember looking at the goals and assists, and James Maddison was leaving him dead in the water. I'm thinking, why is he scoring goals for Leicester and assists for Leicester? Now, since he's gone to Tottenham, it's gone wrong. Well, that's his fault. Why would you go to Tottenham, right? But no, seriously, I looked at Odegaard and I thought, well, he's absolutely put me in the mud because he's got 15 goals and assists. Finally, I can get behind this guy and defend him. And people were coming at me going, Maddison's better. And, we should have signed X, Y, and Z. And he's not better than Ozil and all this. And I'm like, look, I agree. He's not better than Ozil. He's not better than Fabregas. He's nowhere near Santi Cazorla's level. But he's a good player. And he technically is gifted. And then again, the last couple of seasons, he's kind of put me in the mud again now for the other reason. So at one stage, I'm like, I don't think he's good enough. Then he puts me in the mud, realizing that he is good enough. Now people are telling me he isn't good enough. I'm like, well, he's already proved to me wrong that I didn't think he was, but he is. And now he's starting to prove that he ain't good enough again. So I don't know if it is a confidence thing. I don't know if it's a sickness or illness thing or a combination of it. But there's no more excuses of it now, Laurie. He's not injured anymore. That was back in November. Saka's literally just come back, and look at him already killing it. That's a top quality player. Odegaard's levels below. Like Saka is levels ahead of Odegaard.
But I'm scratching my head down as to why this must be, because I
don't know.
It's not like his position is under threat. Well, not up until now anyway. And it would appear him and the manager are very close. So I don't see him getting dropped anytime soon. But I'm just struggling to understand it, because when he's on, he looks really good.
Well, some of it's decision making, Laurie. If I'm honest with you, some of it is his decision making. Because how many opportunities last night were there for him to actually have a dig, and he refused to? He's flicking it over the top for Saka to run onto. Even Saka's like, "Why don't you shoot? What the hell are you trying to flick it to me for, man? Have a dig. You're in." And when he did have a dig, it's like a tap. It's a tap, And this is why I wonder if he can actually shoot a football, because I look at some of his opportunities, I'm thinking, "Wow, is that why you're not shooting then?" Because it just rolls to the keeper every time. It really becomes quite frustrating. He's probably the most frustrating Arsenal player at the moment, if I'm honest with you. And there's and one thing he loves to do is a bit of a Kylie Minogue, spinning around. He absolutely loves spinning around, this guy. He gets the ball and you think, oh, shoot, no, I'm going to turn it around again. And he spins around and you think, what are you spinning around for? Like, go forward, man. There's space. So some of his decision-making has been poor, man.
Yeah, I would agree. We got a comment here that I think we need to address. I think this is it. Yeah. Now I've discussed this with a few people, and if I've got to be fair to Odegaard, I don't actually think he was shying away from taking a penalty. I think what happens, well, I hope this is what happened, is that nowadays when penalty takers take the penalties, you will often see a teammate pick up the ball as if to take it, and the reason they do that is to stop the opposition trying to get in the head or intimidate the penalty taker. Then at the last minute, they will give it to the designated penalty taker. So the aesthetics of it might look as if he didn't want to take the penalty or he was deliberating over who is to take the penalty. But I'm pretty sure, Dan, that what he was doing was of giving Saka that layer of protection to, you know what I mean, to take the emphasis off him at that moment.
100%. We've seen that in the Premier League, haven't we? Where Odegaard takes it and then he gives it to Saka.
Yeah.
We saw it against Manchester United, I think, where it might have been Havertz who picked up the penalty and then he gave it to Odegaard. Odegaard missed that one against Manchester United in the FA Cup. So there's definitely been a lot of scenarios where that's happened. I don't think it's cowardice at all, if I'm honest with you. I do question his leadership qualities. I think they're very different and I don't think they're seen as much. I don't think they're as visible unless you were around the dressing room or perhaps a part of the coaching staff or the team. I don't think you'd really know the influence that Martin Odegaard has. On the pitch, he's brilliant leading from the press. He works hard. He don't stop running. That's great. But I don't see the leadership qualities from him in terms of barking orders, getting players together, pointing fingers, telling people where to go. Whereas with Declan Rice and Gabriel, that's really visible that they're vocal. So that's why a lot of people believe they should have the armband. Look, he's not going to strip him of the captaincy. I don't know why people even question that, you know. And people sort of said to me before, I think Rice could be a future Arsenal captain. Rice isn't 18 and Odegaard's 30. They're both the same age, aren't they? I think pretty much. Yeah. Odegaard retires. Yeah. Oh, I'm 32 as well. You know, it's like like, what, you know, I don't think that's going to happen, bro. I think that he's.
I think with the captaincy, Dan. I don't know. Tell me what you think about it. I think sometimes it can be a cultural thing. So I guess what I'm getting at is in Britain, we like our leaders to be quite demonstrative on the front foot. You know what I mean? Fist pumping, and I'm not saying that all our leaders are like, but you know, because Harry Kane was like that and he was captain of England. But we tend to like leaders like that, demonstrative. So immediately you look out on the pitch, you can think, oh, he's a captain. Look at him directing people. He's more vociferous and he's quite, you know what I mean, showy the way that extroverted. Whereas I get the impression that Martin Odegaard is who the manager trusts, who to represent him on the pitch, if you like. He is Arteta on the actual pitch.
I could not agree more. I could not agree more. That's where he's seen it, is which one of these individuals do I feel is my sort of captain?
Yes.
That's what he's done. Not which of these guys barks orders. He's not looked at it like that, you know. And when we had the old school, I'm very old school, Laurie, and I like the Patrick Vieira and the Tony Adams and the Roy Keane captains, I'm not so sure that I'm more of a fan of those type of, he's always on time, he's professional, everyone likes him, he's looked up to in the squad, we'll give him the armband. I'm not really a lover of that because that's all good. But do you have the leadership qualities, the passion, the desire, and the qualities to get you across the scruff of the neck of a game? And I'm not seeing that from Odegaard. And I keep trying to think back. He's been here for 4 years now. Can you name me just one game where you're like, without Odegaard, we don't win that game? I can't. I'm struggling, bruv. Whereas, you know, Rice has stepped up in big moments. Saka has been a moments player. We've seen Aubameyang over the years, who's become a big player. I gotta say, we've seen Gabriel at set pieces. Haven't seen that from Odegaard, and that's the real disappointing thing for me. And look, I'm not slating him. I've been trying to stick up for him. I've been doing a poor job at it because he's been letting me down. But I've been trying to, and I've remained to, because I do think there's a player there. I think he's technically gifted, and I hope we see the best of him. But I think it may be next season, not this one.
Yeah, well, you never know, man. I mean, there's a few games to go in this season. 6 Premier League games. We've got at least 2 more Champions League games, maybe even 4. Oh, sorry, 3. It's 3 because there'll be 3, 2 semi-finals. So yeah, listen, man. There's still time for him to get it right. I mean, listen, if he was to play blinders in the next 2 games and in the finals when we win it, I don't think too many people have much to say. But I do share your concerns because I'm a big fan of his. And I've been bigging him up from time, but I must admit, recently he's not given me too much to shout about. But yeah, I mean that's my thoughts on it. I do think that when it comes to representing the manager on the pitch, he would appear to be that guy. as I said, I've been told that him and the manager are close, and it would appear so. And clearly, the manager's going to stick with him. So,
Of course.
yeah, but yeah, he does need to show us a bit more. But yeah, I mean, all in all, a great performance, Dan, and it's only right now that we should start thinking about PSG. Now, that is not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But what I would say is this, Dan, there's no point in us getting this far, putting out Madrid, the holders, the team that everybody says is like the Champions League, like, you know what I mean? They're the men.
Yeah.
And then we go and slip up now. We've got to. I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but we've got to get past PSG. We've played them already in this competition and we've beaten them. They weren't brilliant that day, I've got to admit. But what I would say is that since then, they've come on leaps and bounds. The manager there, Luis Enrique, he's brought in a couple of players and they're looking good. I saw their game against Villa. And they're one of those teams. They're like young and hungry and full of energy. And, you know what I mean? They've got some really skillful players. They will be tricky. So how do you think we match up against PSG in the semi-final?
I think it's going to be an outstanding couple of games.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I think it's going to be an outstanding couple of games is because we're quite different as teams. They don't really have the quality at the back that we do, but they certainly have the quality in attack. I also think on top of their attack, they've got a trio in midfield that is one of the most balanced in world football. I love Vitinha as a player. I think João Neves has been a superb signing. And I think Fabian Ruiz is incredibly underrated for what he does in terms of a balance of a midfield. Last time we played them, Laurie, a lot of people said it was a different PSG. Well, it was the same manager. It was actually the same team, barring 3 players. One of them, Kvaratskhelia, who wasn't there because they signed him in January. Dembele and Fabian Ruiz weren't available, but they are now. So really, if we were to play them, there's only 2 players there that you're really going to be changing other than Ruiz.
Yeah, but they're arguably their 2 best players, Dan.
Well, and you know what? It's a great point. A lot of people said, oh, they've got unbelievable strength in depth. They have got good players. Barcola's quality, Doué's quality. So really, if they played those 2, we wouldn't be like, oh, thank God, them 2 are scrubs, will be all right. Ain't going to happen. So look, they're going to have a quality side, whoever we play. But I think people have slept on that with the way that we performed against them in that first group game or new format league game, whatever you want to call it, in the Champions League, because it was a really good performance from us. Look, they've got better. They've improved. They've obviously got Kvaratskhelia, who I think is their best player, if I'm honest with you, or one of them. He's absolutely outstanding. Then Dembele, they're going to be a threat. So we've got to remain resolute and compact again. But I don't see.
And you mentioned Hakimi earlier as well. I've always liked Hakimi. I've always thought he's a really good player. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think their fullbacks are not spoken about enough, actually, because Nuno Mendes. Absolutely superb. Like, I remember him at Sporting Lisbon. I said, go get this Nuno Mendes. They're like, who? I was like, oh, trust me, go watch him. And now he's at PSG balling out. So, look, he's always been good, and I rate him. And, they're going to be tough, man. But they can be got at. I look at what Rashford did to him and Villa as a team. That means we can do the same. We've got Saka's, we've got Martinelli's, Marino, I think last night was excellent. And again, it's going to be a really good sort of moment for our fullbacks to prove what they've got, because we've spoken about Timber, but we haven't even mentioned how good Lewis Skelly was last night. I mean,
we should have mentioned him.
Geez, I mean,
that's how good he is, man. Now we're it's almost
like a typical performance.
It's taken as read now. You know what I mean? That he's gonna, and for somebody so young to just be so unfazed. You know what I found was interesting yesterday when Rudiger was doing his little bully boy stuff. I think there was the incident. That was the incident actually where it led to Partey getting booked. When he trods on Skelly, when Mars Lewis Skelly gets up, he's actually laughing at Rudiger as if to say, yeah, I've got you. This is what you're having to resort to. Doing that to a little youth like me, that tells me everything. You know what I mean? And I thought that was such a interesting reaction from the young man, because a lot of young guys might have lost their head, ran out there, tried to engage him. But he just gave him a little smug laugh as if to say, yo, is that what you got? Is that all? Is that it? You know what I mean? So I've got a super chat here from Mr. Unknown. He says, let's calm down. It's only Real Madrid. Now, I'm not sure if that is sarcasm taken in jest or whether he means it, but we're grateful for the super chat anyway. One player we haven't mentioned for PSG, he had a really good game the other day, and he's been around a long time, experience, quality. The goalkeeper, Donnarumma. We'll have to get past him. Big man as well, Man Mountain. On his day, he's a very, very, very good keeper. So, yeah, looking at PSG, Barcola as well. We haven't mentioned him. Very, very good player. Young, quick, hungry. And I think that's what that PSG side brings. They bring a lot of energy, a lot of passion. And I think since Mbappe's left PSG, I think their fortunes have hit the upturn. They're going to run away with the French league. And they're at the business end of the Champions League, and they're looking good. But I do agree with you, Dan. I think they can be touched. I think they're a typical young side, really. Play with a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. But also they do make mistakes. They can be got at the back. And I would make us a slight favourites, Dan. I don't know about you. I'm trying not to sound too overconfident or arrogant or smug. But I think in that game, over 2 legs, I think we would have to start favourites. What do you think?
Yeah, I looked at the odds checker today, actually. It's so close between all 4 teams now. PSG and Barcelona were both 2-1 favourites. And then obviously Arsenal come next, I think. And then Inter Milan. Where do I see it? I think the reason PSG and Barcelona are favourites is because they're playing best football at the moment. I think PSG right now are looking very, very good. Barcelona have looked good for the majority of the season.
Yes.
But I'll say this. I think Barcelona and PSG will actually be harder to beat than Inter Milan. Easier to beat than Inter Milan. And the reason I say that is because I think Inter Milan will set up very similarly defensively like we have been in our league form and be quite hard to beat. I think what Simone Inzaghi has done has been absolutely phenomenal. They're defensively as good, if not better than us. I think their record in the Champions League new stages, we've conceded 7. I think they've conceded 5 or 6. So neither of us have really conceded many goals. And I look at what, PSG will offer. Maybe we're favourites to some, but the bookies are saying that PSG are. I think
interesting.
It depends how you're playing. I think it depends how you're playing, Laurie, to be fair. It can change so quickly. We go at the weekend and lose to Ipswich somehow 2-0, and then PSG spank someone 7-0. They're going to be favourites, aren't they? If Arsenal go and start blitzing teams by 7s and 6s in the next few weeks coming up to that PSG game and their form drops, I think then it switches again. So I don't always go by that. But I think if you're looking at how they're playing, I think PSG probably are playing better than Arsenal because we've got injuries and stuff at the moment. But I don't, I think it's underappreciated what we've done last night. We've gone to that ground without Gabriel, with an 18-year-old kid at left back, with a half-fit Saka, no striker, a midfielder playing up front, Odegaard out of form, Martinelli dropped off a cliff in the last 12 to 18 months. We've beaten Real Madrid. No one would have ever said that, bro.
No,
so this is a competition that anything can happen in, and I just pray that we can get the job done. But we've got to take the one game at a time out of the 2 legs. We've got to see what we do at the Emirates, and we need another kind of comparison to Real Madrid, really. We need another performance like that to go 2 or 3-0 up would be amazing. Because I said this today to my guy. I said, we only need to win 2 games. You don't have to, he said, only 3 wins and we win the Champions League. It's not even that, because you can win 3-0 at the Emirates and you could lose 1-0 and then go and win the final. You'd like to win all 3, but you don't have to win this competition. So that's how close we are to it, mate.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it'll be interesting, though, to see what the tactics of the manager will be. How he approaches that game. Do we try and attack now? I mean, the first leg is at the Emirates on the 29th of April. So do you think he will try and go for it in the first game? Or do you think they'll be a bit more controlled? Or do you think that they'll try and stick it on PSG, who, relatively inexperienced, some of their players anyway, and young? It's interesting. What do you think, Dan?
Look, I think it will be a scenario where we go into this game similarly to the Real Madrid game in the first leg. I don't think we go gung-ho. I don't think we allow them to have all the ball, though, because they've got a very, very good set of midfielders that can feed and create for their front 3, which is the most dangerous part of their team. We saw it against Villa, what happens. If you go gung-ho quickly, in the first 20 minutes, they were 2-0 down. So I do feel like there's an opportunity for us to keep this a little bit resolute in the first leg for the first 15-20. Keep the ball, make it hard for them, frustrate them. And we've got killer sort of weapons as well in Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, think Marino has been very underappreciated, in fact, in the last few. And I think since January, if we would have signed him as a striker and he scores 6 in 10, we would have said that was a really good signing. So actually, for him to go up front, I think he's proven that he can do the job there. But also, I think he's impressed me more than he has in his midfield duties, if I'm honest with you there. I think he's more of a kind of hold-up merchant, a little bit of a target man, and uses his physical attributes. He's definitely got the finishing ability as well, we've seen. And if I'm honest, what it's done, I'm not really a Kai Havertz hater. I'm certainly not a lover of him. I think it's proven that quite how we definitely need a striker, because we don't miss Havertz. When you don't miss Havertz when Marino is there, that's a bit of a worry for Kai Havertz, really. And I do think he's got a place in the squad, Kai. I just don't know that he's the number 9 that we need. So, yeah, in the summer, I'll be looking for that. But, yeah, that's how I would approach it, mate. A little bit balanced, not 10 men behind the ball and be worried and scared.
No, I don't think we can't afford to do that.
No.
Listen, we need to play our game, but we do need to be positive. I do think, though, that PSG will play their natural game, which is to attack. I can't see them coming to the Emirates and sitting. And I think that is going to give us opportunities on the counter. What we have to do is to try and be clinical and at least keep them to zip, if we can, at the Emirates, which is not going to be easy because, like I said, Kvaratskhelia and the likes, Dembele. I think Dembele this season, he's been on fire, isn't he? I think he's been one of the seasons. So, like, they won't fear us, but I do think that we do have the edge. And I do think that if we, if we pay attention to detail and do the right things, I do think that we can get there in the end. But it definitely is not going to be easy because they do look a handful, this team. They really do. And credit to Luis Enrique because he's got a good little team there that he's built. Like I said, they lost Mbappe. A lot of people thought, that's it. They're going to struggle for a few years. But look, arguably, they're better now than they ever was. In a relatively short space of time as well. So that's going to be a great look. Yeah.
Agreed. Difficult, man. Really difficult game.
It is. But I do fancy us. But like I said, I don't want to make it sound like we're just going to go there and beat them and it's going to be easy. It's not. We're going to have to earn it. You know what I mean? And if we do, I don't know about you, Dan, but I'm kind of eyeing up Barca in the final. That would be a rerun of 2006, of course.
Absolutely. That's the one I would like.
That's the one I want. And I'm saying that for personal reasons as well, because I was at the last final, myself and Robbie, my brother Robbie. We went to the last Champions League final. That was in Paris back in 2006. We thought we was in dreamland for a while, but then, it didn't quite end up that way. But how nice it would be to get revenge all them years later. So let's hope that can happen. You know what I mean?
I hope so.
We should end. Sorry, carry on, Dan.
No, look, I hope so as well. For the same reasons as you. One, I want revenge because 2006 still hurts. And I actually do think we've got a better chance against Barcelona than Inter Milan. So that's why I would like them as well, man. That was all I was going to say, man.
Yeah, a few people have said that. They said that the matchup with Inter Milan could present us with problems because would I be discrediting them if I called them a low block team? They're definitely a team that are very good at defending. I mean, it's interesting in the group stages, Dan. I think I saw a stat where they only conceded 1 goal in the 8 games. Their defensive record was pretty much spotless. I mean, we only conceded 3. But they only conceded 1 goal, and of course, they were the only team to beat us in that in the group stages. So
they were, and it's mad because someone said on my stream that I did today, you might end up playing 2 teams that you've already played to win this thing, PSG and Milan. And I didn't think about that. I thought, wow, we've already played PSG. We've now got to play them over 2 legs, and we could end up in the final against the team that we've already played in the format of the Champions League earlier in the group stages, Inter Milan. So, yeah, that could happen. I don't really care who we get, but I just want to get there. But if I did have a choice, I would prefer Barcelona for those kind of reasons.
Yeah, I prefer Barcelona.
But, once you get to the final, bruv, you've got to roll the dice, haven't you? And I don't think you're disrespectful to say they're a low block team. They're not like a Stoke City or a Fulham. They sit there alone, but that's really
Yeah.
good.
Or Everton or something like that.
Exactly, yeah. But I
Yeah.
think what Simone Inzaghi's done has been incredible over there, if I'm honest with you. The way they set up, they've got one of the best centre-halves in the world in Bastoni. They've got an unbelievable number 8 in Barella in midfield, who's absolutely outstanding. And I think Lautaro Martinez hasn't been spoken about enough. He's been on absolute fire. So,
Yeah.
they've got some players that can hurt us as well, man.
Ryan makes a good comment here. He says, let's beat PSG before planning a final or any
100%.
victory parade. Yeah, of course, right. I mean, listen, we're just discussing possible permutations. We're not saying that we're going to win, but we're saying that, we're looking forward, as in the vein of the show. But yeah, so yeah, that's the Champions League stuff. But before then, Dan, we've got the small matter of the Premier League. We still got half a dozen games left. To me, they're still important games, especially when I turn on my TV this morning and I'm hearing Newcastle saying they think they can catch Arsenal for second place. So how do you feel about that, Dan? I mean, I'm assuming that you, like me, want us to try and do our best to win all our remaining games and finish, because let's face it, Liverpool are going to win the title. But surely you want to win as many games as possible and secure that second place. I know it's not a trophy. I know it's, to some, it may not be a massive deal, but we don't really want Newcastle to just creep up on us and catch us up and overtake in the home straight, do you? Surely not.
No, absolutely not. I want to finish up as high as we can. It doesn't really bother me. Like, if I said to you now, we're actually not going to finish second, we're going to finish fourth, I wouldn't throw my toys out the pram, because it's still won the same thing, which is Champions League football. You know what I mean? You don't get a higher amount of, higher trophy for coming second than fifth. You're still all playing Champions League, because you four that are playing Champions League lost. So you four go and play the winners in the Champions League group stage. So that's where it is for me. But I think it's about momentum, isn't it? And if we're losing our league games, but we're trying to cling on to beat PSG and wait for that final if we get there, it ain't going to do well for our momentum if we're losing the league game still. So look, Newcastle could catch us 100%. They've been on unbelievable form.
Yeah.
They've got to play us, still got to play us at the Emirates, which they never lose there. They always, in the last four, we've found it very, very difficult. The last 4 times we've played, we've got to go to Anfield as well. So if we lose both of them, that's 6 points. They're going to be ahead of us if they win their games in hand. So, they could quite easily get ahead of us but I'm not going to sit there and say, wow, what, you know what I mean? It's not going to be a massive, but we lost the league, Laurie. Do you know what I mean? We lost the league, and to me, I don't look and go, well, we better get on to second. Are we going to do it? Yes. No, you don't do that.
I know what you say, but I do slightly disagree with you. It's not often I disagree with you, Dan, but I am going to disagree. And I'll tell you why. Because it wasn't that long ago we were talking about winning the title, believe it or not. We were actually talking, I think, the day it all unfolded was the West Ham game. I think it was back in February, losing at home to West Ham. I remember the feeling of that game. It was dreadful. That was definitely one of the low points. And it was after that I finally came to the realization that the title was gone. That being said, we thought, okay, we're going to finish second. We want to be the second best team. If you can't be the first best team, then okay, try and be the second best team at the very least, because we were second last year. So if you look at it logistically, if we finish third or fourth or fifth, then really you've dropped significantly in levels, haven't you, from the previous 2 seasons? And I think, and this is just my thinking out loud, it would be, I wouldn't say a humiliation, but it would be a bit of an embarrassment that in the year when a lot of people fancied that we might win the league, or at least if City slip up, people saying Arsenal will be right there, to not even finish runners up, and especially to be overtaken by Newcastle with like 5-6 games to go. I think that's a little bit hard to take for me, Dan. I don't know. You don't think so, no?
Look, it's difficult for anybody to take, but at the end of the day, we've lost the league title. And I think that if you lose the league title and then you start to go like, we're 9 points off, we end up being 15 points off because we've concentrated on the Champions League. That's a bit different. If we're going for it, all gung-ho and like, right, come on, let's get as close as we can to Liverpool, and we still end up 15 points, that looks at it a little bit differently for me. But I think because our eggs are now all in the basket of the Champions League, I think we could end up being quite far behind Liverpool. It wouldn't surprise me if we ended up sort of 12 to 15 points behind them, if I'm honest.
It's almost like you're watching the Olympic race, Dan. Have you ever seen those like 5,000 meter races where they start out and you got the two people jockeying for the lead, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Who's going to win the gold? And then somebody makes a sprint, which will be Liverpool. They go clear and win. And then the person that was second that you thought had a chance of being the first, all of a sudden they get run out of the medals by everybody. You know, when you get that pack of people who jump out, that's what it would feel like to me. To not even finish second would be kind of embarrassing for me.
Well, look, we can't get into a scenario where we end up finishing outside the Champions League. Crikey,
No.
that'd be horrendous. But I don't think we'd be that bad. I think we'll come second or third, if I'm honest with you. And it doesn't really bother me which one. I'd pick second, but if we come third, I'm really not going to lose much sleep over it, if I'm honest. Particularly
I hear
in
you.
the Champions League. So.
I hear you. And I also hear you about, perhaps more importantly, it's about building momentum for the Champions League 100%. And giving some of the players,
and especially those games in between PSG, that we've got to be winning those games. You know what I mean? I don't want to be losing them, because that was what my worry was with the Real Madrid one. Everton we drew, Brentford we drew, and I'm like, oh nah, they don't want to be doing that. And you know, so I think we've got Bournemouth, and I think it's Bournemouth and
got Ipswich this weekend.
Yeah, but in between PSG, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Palace.
Yeah, we got Palace. Yeah. But I think those games are important as well, because the guys on the periphery of the team will get an opportunity to see what it can do. And let's face it, it's highly likely that we'll need the likes of Wanyeri, Trossard, and people like that. Jorginho, if he's fit. You know, those guys are, you know what I mean, are on the periphery of the team. They've got to be in a place whereby they're ready to come on in that sort of high velocity game and, you know what I mean, make a meaningful impact. Ben White, even people like that, you know what I mean, they're not been playing recently, but you know what I mean, if they get games in between the Champions League games, if they are asked to come in and contribute, they're in a space where they can do that. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I think that there is there's no real jeopardy as such on the games, but they are still important, if you know what I mean. So yeah. But Dan, listen, man, coming to a close. I've really enjoyed this chat. You know, me and you can talk for ages. We often do about football. I've really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think we can both agree that last night was a great night for Arsenal. I'm hoping that this is the start of something really significant. I'm not getting too carried away. There's been people out there, Dan, that have been messaging me, and I've been on a few shows and they're saying, yeah, come on, you're going to win it. I'm like, no, you've got to keep your feet on the ground. You mean, you've got to acknowledge that PSG will be a real threat. But what I would say, Dan, and I'll be interested to see if you agree with me, is that last night we finally, this team anyway, not Arsenal Football Club itself, but this team under Arteta have announced themselves as eating at that top table. And I really hope that the win against Madrid is the start of something, the catalyst that will really propel them forward and hopefully go on and win the Champions League.
Yeah. Listen, I want to win this Champions League so badly, bro.
Yeah,
and
man.
People said to me at the start, which one do you prefer? I always used to say Premier League. And it's been 21 years since we won that. But I want the one with the big ears, man. I want Champions League, because we shut up Man City and Chelsea fans who think they're bigger than us. That squashes that argument. To me, we're bigger anyway, but if you count up the trophies, we're ahead of them still. But they always say the European trophy seems to count for about 15 million trophies more. So, you know, we've got to go and get that one, haven't we? And for me, I think we've got a great chance of it, man. I don't think we will win it. If asked me to put money on it, do you think we'll win the Champions League? I probably would lean towards no. That's not because I'm a hater, like people think. I just don't think that we will.
No, listen, you're just being honest, mate. I appreciate your honesty.
I hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. And that's what I hope, man. If we win that Champions League, God, it'll be one of the best seasons in a very, very long time.
Definitely. Especially when you consider that we got to be honest, as Arsenal football fans, our European record is not great, to say the least. And for a club of our size and where we want to be, we need to be winning Champions Leagues. And so we got an opportunity this year. We put out the holders. We look good in doing so. Let's hope that's the springboard going forward. And that is the message I'm hoping that comes out of this show. It wasn't just the win last night. It's what can happen from here on in. But Dan, big up, my guy. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Look forward to speaking to you in future. People out there, really appreciate you watching the show. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for everybody. Keep supporting the channel. Don't forget AFTV, your one-stop shop for all Arsenal content. We've got the game on Sunday against Ipswich. We'll be doing a watch along for that game. I look forward to you all joining us there. We are out. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Nice one. Thank you.
Listen up. You're watching TikToks all day anyway, so why not get paid for it? Ever thought about making money from TikTok but you don't have any followers? Well, forget the 1,000 follower rule. GFN Vault has just changed the game. AFTV and DR Sports have partnered with one of the biggest UK creators, Anthony Owo, to bring you GFN Vault.
Our agency helps you earn, grow, succeed with exclusive support. With 0 following, you can start earning straight away. No gimmicks, no catches, 100% free.
Every big creator started from nothing, including me. So why not you?
Whether that is football, gaming clips, or just chatting complete and utter rubbish, anyone can be a creator, just like me.
So hit the link right now, get involved, and start earning today with GFN Vault. Do not sleep on this.